Hello and welcome back to another World of Warcraft Warlords of Draenor video. This time we're going to be talking about profession changes and quality of life changes. Now these are not full profession changes in the sense of like us finding out exactly how these professions are going to function, but I think the theme of quality of life is definitely pervasive throughout a lot of these changes. In the video I'm going to just first off rattle off the changes and then I'll give my opinions at the end. So first of all, automatically learned glyphs. Well, this is kind of interesting, very different to the current system, and essentially while leveling, you are going to unlock your glyph slots as normal as you level up, but what's different is you're actually going to learn some major glyphs as you level up, and the recipes for those glyphs have been removed. I'll just post a little screenshot of the actual things that you'll learn by default, but I think this is rather interesting. It's a change that people could either perceive in a good light or a bad light, but I'll talk about that later. Alright, so in terms of professions in general, well, they said that one of their goals with Warlords of Draenor professions was to make them a personal choice and not really a mandatory min-max situation. To that end, what they've done is they've actually removed the direct combat benefits from professions, and then they've also made it easier to level up mining and herbalism, which I think is definitely pretty good. They also said that healer potions have gone basically unused lately in comparison to the combat potions. So they've chosen to resolve this problem, along with the problem with Warlock utility, by having healing potions and health stones share cooldowns, and that's rather interesting. But yes, the actual changes are that herbalists can now harvest herbs throughout the game without any hard skill requirements, just that the yield that the herbalist will get is based on their skill. So if you're trying to take a high level node, well, perhaps you won't get that much if you have a low skill, but if you're at the maximum skill for herbalism, then you'll get a lot. And the exact same thing applies to miners as well. That's definitely very nice for leveling up, and I think that's absolutely a very good change. So yeah, overall, it's good stuff. One thing that's, I guess, interesting about this, though, is that it means that you could just, say, go back to Pandaria, where you can fly and level up the profession there, somewhere that's really very convenient for leveling up mining or herbalism, so that's definitely a nice change in my opinion. And then, of course, there's just the that thing with the Warlock and the Warlock health stone thing and healing potions both sharing a cooldown. That cooldown is actually going to be 60 seconds, and it will not reset until the player leaves combat. So essentially it's the norm. And then finally, another bit of interesting news is that they have removed a few of the facing requirements in the game. So previously they've had some very strict facing requirements that people have had to deal with, which has been, in their opinion, a little bit of a problem in some hectic raid combat or PvP environments, so they want to ease the situation by either removing or significantly loosening the facing requirements on all attacks that require the player to be behind their target. So for druids, that means that shred now will no longer require you to be behind the target. For rogues, it means that ambush will no longer require you to be behind the target. And then for the subtlety rogues, backstab can be used on either side of the target in addition to behind, which I guess makes sense because you can also kind of flank him, but it doesn't make much sense to the name being backstab. Maybe they should just call it kind of like non-face stab or rear stab, something like that, I don't know. Anyway, so there's one actually last thing to talk about. They've reduced the base mana cost of all resurrection spells to 4% of the person's base mana. This basically means that mana is not going to be an inhibitor to your raid's ability to recover after a wipe. Cast times already function as the primary cost of this spell, rather than the actual mana cost, so they think this is just something that's quite nice. So, yeah, absolutely very good. That's definitely going to be very handy, because some of these things were like 10 and 50% base mana, which was a lot, actually. It really was a lot, and when you wipe, do you want to just sit there waiting for healers to drink? No, you don't. You want to get up and, well, get yourself killed again. That's, because we're masochists, us World of Warcraft players. But, yeah, overall, so what do I think about these changes? Well, first of all, let's have a bit of a chat about glyphs. This is definitely very interesting. This is going to be a very good change for, I think, the majority of people. However, there are certain, scribes, who are going to be a little bit miffed about this. But I think that the scribes will still have quite a viable market going on. First of all, not every glyph is being automatically learned. It's just some of the major ones, and I think this does make sense because a lot of people, they level up their character and they never really bother with glyphs, especially if they're new, because it involves, going to Stormwind, going to the auction house, blah blah blah. That's all a lot of just traveling and effort, and it's the kind of thing that maybe not a lot of people are going to do. So by giving people these glyphs as you level up, what it actually does, is it adds more rewards to your class as you level. Of course, with the new Mists of Pandaria talent system, one of the problems was you didn't get a talent point every 2 levels or anything like that. Well, now there's another thing which they can use as a reward when you level up. I think that's a really nice part of the leveling experience, and it will also perhaps get people to ingrain some of the changes from those major glyphs into their leveling process, and that should make things more fun in my opinion. Yeah, I think that is actually a net positive. Now, the glyph market itself is different. It's weird, right? There are so many different glyphs, and the only way to really decently manage it is by getting an add-on called Trade Skill Master, and using, like, just a crazy amount of setup, a crazy just infrastructure, and the market itself is extremely cutthroat. It's not a game, it's a stock market, and I can't really blame Blizzard for wanting to cut down on something like that. So I think what will happen is perhaps there will be new glyphs added in Warlords, of course. Most of them will be minor, and I think because some of these will be more cosmetic items, they're going to be very desirable because of that. And I think it's the sort of thing that a lot of people will want to pick up if Blizzard add things that are cool. And of course, not every major glyph is being just automatically learned, so there's still going to be a lot for scribes to sell, but hopefully this should streamline scribes to the point where they're more doable for more people, and I know that will kind of cut off the people at the top, but they can't make a game for the 1%, if you know what I mean. So there's that, and yeah, overall I think that actually is a very interesting change and quite a good one. Then as for professions, I think it's definitely interesting about the herbalist and mining change. I think that's fair enough. It allows for more flexibility as you level up, and that's definitely a good thing, though the prospect of having to mine 600 or 750 whatever nodes in a row in one zone in Pandaria just because it's the most optimal, a little bit daunting, but once again, they're giving people flexibility. That's a good thing, right? That's got to be a good thing, so I think definitely that's nice. And also it just eases up the leveling grind for these. You know, like if you are doing current level content and you just want to passively level up one of these professions as you go along your business, well, now you're going to be able to, where you previously weren't, because you know, obviously you would have had to travel all the way back to Elwyn Forest or something like that to start mining your copper. So overall, that's very good, and yeah, good stuff there with professions. I think that's definitely kind of nice. As for the healing potions, I suppose warlocks are going to feel a little bit less special, but at least this means that you're okay if you don't have a warlock, because you can't expect every single, 10-person group to have a warlock, because there are 11 classes in the game. Maybe that's just the one class that won't be there. And it actually gives healing potions a bit more of a role. And then it also means that there's another thing that alchemists can craft and sell in the auction house. So I think that is once again something that's for the benefit of gameplay, and also for the benefit of just people in general, of the profession people. So I think that's quite nice. Then facing requirements. Well, I think that a lot of people are instantly kind of going to just bork at this and think, whoa, you're taking away a lot of the unique stuff of some of these spells. I think this actually could be okay. So, I'd imagine that in PvP, right, because you can basically just, if you're turning with your mouse, you can move your character very quickly. Now, that must make backstabbing and things like that just a little bit iffy, unless you have your target sapped or stunned in some sort of manner. And because those saps and stuns aren't going to be there as much in the Warlords expansion because they're reducing CC, I think this is definitely an okay change. It means that these abilities are still going to be strong in a world where players are not, like, rooted and, unable to turn or whatever, 100% of the time. Well, not 100, a lot. So I think this is okay, and it should make things a little bit more playable. I definitely like what they've done with Backstab by making it usable behind the target, because it still preserves the flavor of the spell, while just making it a bit more usable, and I think that's okay. So overall, they are good playability things, and I think that is ideally what they want to be going for, so fair enough, Blizzard, fair enough. Alright, so finally then, just the resurrection mana costs. I don't really have much personally to say about that, other than it's damn handy, and I like handy things, and yeah, I think that's definitely pretty damn good. So anyway, let me know what you thought about all this stuff. I think it's definitely rather interesting, so be cool to see what you all have to say about it. Anyway, that's it for this video. Stay tuned to the channel and you can find out basically all the latest Warlords of Draenor alpha news. I'm hoping to get myself into the actual alpha when people start getting invited, so I've got all Easter off to work in this alpha. A lot of videos are going to come out, a lot of videos, and it's going to be great. Oh, I can't wait. Anyway, that's it for the video. Thanks for watching, and I will catch you next time.